Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rich Bradley, President of the Board of Public Service. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Public Service for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. This is a public meeting and there are no lettings today, but we do have one hearing which we will handle at this time. Hearing number 8283. This hearing numbered 8283 is being conducted pursuant to Chapter 8.97 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. The applicant, Chelsea Holloway, for Earth Alchemy LLC, is proposing to operate a tattoo parlor at 2809 Chippewa Street, first floor. Due to the nature of the business, the applicants are required to hold a license issued by this board pursuant to the guidelines of Chapter 8.97 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. As outlined in Section 8.97.070 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis, the Board of Public Service may approve such application after a hearing. If it is satisfied that the applicant is of good moral character and that the applicant has given evidence that he will be able to operate the premise in compliance with all regulations and laws governing such premise, and the applicant is resident of the state of Missouri and his neighborhood contempt petition is in due form, and the applicant's premise are not within 500 feet of an elementary school. The Board of Public Service has in its possession and is therefore admitted into evidence the following documents. Item 1, a certified copy of Chapter 8.97 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2, the applicant's file with the Office of Secretary of the Board of Public Service, which includes but is not limited to A, the license application submitted on March 13th, 2024, with the drawing of the proposed premise for 5 chairs, and B, public notices that were published and posted for today's hearing. 3, an occupancy permit from the zoning division issued for 2809 Chippewa Street, first floor, to be occupied as a tattoo studio. 4, a copy of the certificate of occupancy and zoning issued on March 15th, 2024 to Earth Alchemy Tattoo for 2809 Chippewa Street, first floor, to be occupied as a tattoo studio. 5, on March 15th, 2024, a letter from Health Commissioner Victoria Ann Worry stating that the community sanitation staff inspected the facility at 2809 Chippewa Street, first floor, City of St. Louis, and found no evidence of health code violations. The issuance of a license for a tattoo establishment was recommended. And 6, copies of letters dated March 20th, 2024, sent from the Secretary of the Board notifying Earth Alchemy Tattoo LLC CO Chelsea Holloway and City Parcels LLC CO Megan Davis of this hearing. The board will swear in and hear from the applicants and those in support of the applicant's proposed use. The board will then allow those in opposition of the tattoo parlor, if any, to address the board. After each side has had an opportunity to speak, the board will then allow for a rebuttal. At this time, will the applicant please come forward and be sworn in?
Could you raise your right hand for me, please? The testimony that you're about to give before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and your address for the board.
Chelsea Holloway, and my home address is 9801 Lakeford Lane, Afton, Missouri 63123.
Okay, great. Thank you. You can put your hand down. So I have a series of questions to ask, and then I will give you an opportunity to speak to the board or ask the board to ask questions, and then give you an opportunity to say whatever you would like to the board. Are you a resident of the state of Missouri?
Yes.
Okay. The state of Missouri requires that tattoo establishments be issued a license from the Director of the Division of Professional Registration. Do you have a license for the proposed tattoo establishment issued by the Missouri Director of the Division of Professional Registration?
Yes.
How many tattoo chairs are being applied for?
5.
And are you aware that any increase in the number of tattoo chairs must be applied for with this board?
Yes.
And how many employees will you have at your establishment?
Employees, none. Artists are independent contractors, so there will be 5.
5 independent contractors. Thank you for that clarification. And do all the tattoo artists have their own Missouri state licensure?
Yes.
Okay. And will you be able to comply with all provisions of Chapter 8.97 of the revised code of the City of St. Louis, including the following? And I have 4 items, and I will cue you when I'm done with those. A, do you understand that you, as the operator of this tattoo parlor, are at all times responsible for the orderly conduct of the establishment and the acts of any of your agents, servants, or employees in the operation of the same?
Yes.
B, do you understand that the tattoo establishment may be open between 9 a.m. and 1 a.m.?
Yes.
And what are your proposed hours?
noon to 7 p.m.
Okay, and C, do you understand tattoo parlors shall be kept clean and well lighted so the rear of the premise is plainly visible from the front of the premise?
Yes.
And will you be able to comply with that provision?
Yes.
And finally, D, do you understand that no tattoo parlor shall allow or permit any loud noises, boisterous or disorderly conduct in or around the premise or on the grounds of such premise, and the operator shall prevent the loitering of persons on the premise or around the grounds of the premise?
Yes.
And will you be able to comply with all of these regulations?
Yes.
So before we go to questions from the board, I'd like to give you the floor and allow you to say whatever you would like to the board members here today.
I'm just excited to be back in South City. We were located in South City before, and decided to move to Central West End. And then we grew a little bit and are opening a second location in South City. We're a very high-end sort of tattoo shop that is a destination business. So a lot of people come to the area just to see us. And we like to do a lot of fundraising and giving back to the community. So we're excited to be back in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to open the floor up for questions from any of our board directors. Seeing no questions, thank you very much. At this time, if there's anyone in favor of this applicant or proposed establishment that wishes to testify, please come forward and be sworn in. And Michelle, I'm assuming no one is in the room with you?
No, there's not.
Okay, and I do not see anyone in the chat or online. So if you are here to testify in favor, please bring it to my attention at this time. Seeing none, let the record reflect that no one is here today to testify in favor of the applicant or the establishment. At this time, if there's anyone in opposition to the applicant or this proposed establishment that wishes to testify, please come forward and be sworn in. Again, Michelle, just to be clear, no one's in the room with you?
No, there's not.
Thank you. I don't see anyone in the chat or anyone online. If you're here to testify in opposition, please bring it to my attention at this time. Seeing none, let the record reflect that there is no one here today to testify in opposition to the applicant or the proposed establishment. The matter concerning hearing number 8283 is now closed and submitted. The board will deliberate the matter following the remaining agenda items. I will ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Director Coyle? Director Davis?
Present.
Director Hayes?
Present.
Director Pearson? Director Scobie?
Present.
Director Williams,
Present.
President Bradley.
Present, we have a quorum. I'll call this meeting to order.
Regular business from the president. Recommendation that approval be given as follows. Port Authority permit lease and access agreement for the South Riverfront Development Project located at 4100 South First Street, 2120 Gasconade Street, 2278 Hickman Street, and 4300 Piedmont Avenue. The Port Authority is in the process of demolishing the exhaust stacks at the city's dangerous and abandoned incinerator by the foot of Gasconade Street, which is part of a larger development project the Port Authority is spearheading along the portion of the river that anticipate demolition of the entire incinerator. From the Office of Special Events, requests for the following to be approved, subject to certain conditions. There are 9 special events to be declared as festival zones. Number 1, Earth Day will take place in Forest Park on April 20th and 21st from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Setup and tear down will begin on April 18th at 7 a.m. and end on April 22nd at 5 p.m. Number 2, Cinco de Mayo Cherokee will take place on Cherokee Street between Jefferson and Nebraska on May 4th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Setup and tear down will begin on May 4th at 5 a.m. and end on May 5th at 5 p.m. Number 3, Biz 5K will take place in the downtown streets and parks on May 9th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Setup and tear down will begin on May 8th at 7 a.m. and end on May 10th at 4 p.m. Number 4, Gateway Hemophilia Association will take place in the 2000 block of Craft Street, going south, ending at Manchester Road on May 16th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Setup and tear down will start at 3 p.m. and end at 9 p.m. Number 5, Pops Blue Moon will take place on Patterson between Edwards and Marconi Avenue on May 21st from 11 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Setup and tear down will begin at 8 a.m. and end at 11:59 p.m. Number 6, SRG Soulard Concert Series will take place in Soulard Market Park on June 22nd, July 20th, and August 17th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Setup and tear down will begin at 2 p.m. and end at 11:30 p.m. each day. Number 7, the Macklin Mile will take place on Sublet and Wyoming to Macklin and Devonshire on June 29th from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Setup and tear down will begin at 5 a.m. and end at noon. Number 8, the Red Lantern Festival will take place on Euclid between Laclede and West Pine on July 20th from 10 a.m. to midnight. Number 9, Greater Pentecostal COG Community Day will take place on Mimica between Lenora and West Florissant on August 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Setup and tear down will start at 6 a.m. and end at 8 p.m. From the Director of Public Utilities, recommendation that the board declares as emergency action the following. Private contractor debris hauling for the Water Division construction and repair work due to staffing shortages for fiscal year 2024. The estimated cost for this work is $300,000. Relocate a natural gas line at the Howard Bend Water Treatment Plant Service Building. The natural gas line must be relocated in preparation for the installation of a new overhead door. The estimated cost for this work is $5,450. From the Directors of Public Safety and Utilities, joint recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Request by Altea LLC to subdivide the lot at 3245 Pennsylvania Avenue in City Block 1505. Request by St. Louis Art Place Initiative and Metron Surveying and Layout Company to consolidate the lots at 3728 and 3732 Nebraska Avenue in City Block 1634. Request by NP Grove Residential LLC and Stocks and Associate Consulting Engineers to consolidate lots 32 through 37 of Block Gibson Heights addition and a vacated 15-inch wide alley along with a 15-inch wide dedication at 1070 South Kings Highway Boulevard in City Block 5043. Request by Marler Surveying Company, Inc. to consolidate lots 12, 13, and 14 of Crondelet Park Addition at 6418 Idaho Avenue and City Block 2966. Request by Civil Design, Inc. to consolidate the lots at 4130 Folsom Avenue into 2 lots in City Block 4969. Joint recommendation that the following be denied, subject to certain conditions. Request by Landmark Association of St. Louis and TL Consultants to subdivide the lot at 1805 South 9th Street into 2 lots in City Block 385. From the Directors of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Request by Union Electric, doing business as Ameren, Missouri, to revitalize the Russell Substation Bridge to Magnolia by installing a conduit along Gravois, beginning at the intersection of California and Gravois and ending at Shenandoah before the interstate. We have 7 conditional use permits from the Director of Public Safety.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Steve Nard, zoning specialist for the city, and I'll be representing the building commissioner at today's meeting. For board order number 766 transmitted herewith are recommendations for the following conditional use applications. Approval with conditions is recommended for 7 applications. 7322 Virginia Avenue, 3912 North 21st Street, 2800 McNair Avenue, rear, 8918 Riverview Drive, Unit C, 5710 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive, 5407 Riverview Boulevard, and 2600 to 2602 Hickory Street.
Thank you, Steve. I do want to make a comment before I open it up for any questions from Steve. The board is in receipt of, and it was distributed to each of the board members for 2 of these conditional uses, 8919 Riverview Drive, Unit C, and 5407 Riverview Boulevard, letters from Alderwoman Pam Boyd seeking lack of support of both of these businesses. So I would please ask you to take that into consideration. I'll at this time open the floor up for any questions from our zoning specialist.
This, no questions. I was gonna make a motion.
Go ahead, Director.
Make a motion to approve the conditional uses as submitted with the exception of 8919 C Riverview and 5407 Riverview based upon the concerns from the alderman of that ward.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, can you please call the roll?
Director Coyle, Director Davis, Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Pearson, Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, the conditional uses are approved per the motion as amended. Thank you. I'd like to turn your attention to hearing number 8283, Earth Alchemy Tattoo Parlor at 2809 Chippewa, first floor. We have a letter from the Health Commissioner stating that there are no violations and recommended issuance of this license for tattoo parlor. We heard from the applicant and she will comply with all provisions of chapter 8.97 of the revised code of the city of St. Louis. And so at this time, I will open the floor up for any discussion from the board. Also, there was no one in support or no one to testify in opposition to this hearing. So now I'll open the floor up for any discussion. Seeing no discussion, is there a motion?
Move to approve, Scobie?
Second Davis.
A motion to approve in a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle, Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Pearson, Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'd like to turn your attention to our meeting minutes from last Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. Are there any questions or comments on the meeting minutes as presented? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve, Williams.
Second Davis.
Thank you. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle, Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Pearson, Director Scobie.
Abstain?
So noted. Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Today's agenda, are there any questions or comments on today's BPS meeting agenda? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please.
Approved, motion to approve, Hayes.
Second, Scobie?
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle, Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Pearson, Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, today's agenda is approved. Before we adjourn, are there any questions or any comments from any of our board directors? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Hayes.
Second, Williams.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a nice afternoon.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Bye, everybody.
Toodles.